Welcome, my name is Christopher Peter. My Philadelphia Eagles did not play a game this weekend. Yet, it feels like they may have picked up a win regardless, largely because their front office, led by Howie Roseman, kept busy while the players rested, making the team better by addressing weaknesses on the roster. The Eagles are still the top seed in the NFC and have a clear lead in the division, but the Eagles are not just trying to end the no back-to-back division champion. They want to ride their talented core for as many Super Bowl runs as possible. And that is what these moves may help do. Now, we must keep in mind that players available for trade are either victims of salary cap realities or their play no longer justifies their pay. So, you are not seeing many premier players leaving one franchise for another, unless their current team values compensation now over saying its goodbyes later. It is not surprising that players moving may have some downside to them. For instance, I was genuinely happy to hear that the Eagles traded for Jaire Alexander, a player who I thought they should have signed as a free agent. There is no overlooking that our secondary is clearly lacking the depth that we had the prior couple years, so it made sense to bolster our secondary with a player who may have a bit left in the tank to make a run for a Super Bowl, and potentially increase his value for another free agency run as well. We also hedged our bets with another safe trade to continue adding depth at corner with Michael Carter, who was a promising player once with the New York Jets. Carter seems to fit a role on the Eagles and may allow our defense to shine when factoring in that combined with Alexander, Cooper DeZean will be able to be flexible. Compared to last year, our pass rush is a bit lacking. We lost a couple key defensive linemen and it has shown a bit early in the season. Although, the line has played better over the past 2 weeks. You cannot be a prisoner of the moment, rather be able to project forward and make adjustments that you think will create better tomorrows than today. Adding another Jalen to the team is a good coincidence, and we now have the potential for adding a talented rusher for the next couple of years or recouping the lost pick through the compensation picks next offseason. Phillips, if healthy, has the talent to make an impact, and he will join a defense that has talent everywhere. The clear need for the Eagles was on defense, although our offense has struggled at times early on. The lack of a matching corner was noticeable at times, and seeing quarterbacks remain all too comfortable in the pocket was noticeable in the games they lost. Yet, the Eagles showed the ability to change direction after 2 disappointing losses and allow for the Eagles to add talent that may complement what is already there, rather than add talent simply to change the quality of play on the field. Winning the offseason and the trade deadline can help change the trajectory of your team, but it can also harm the chemistry and goals if the players obtained are not able to stay healthy or contribute fall below expectations. I believe that we have bolstered our ability to navigate our tough schedule and be able to compete against any team contending.
Our Eagles may have had their bye, but there were many action-packed games played if you leave out the nationally televised games. First, let us start off with the team we defeated in the Super Bowl last year. The Kansas City Chiefs traveled once again to Orchard Park, New York. Once again, the Chiefs lost a regular season game to the Bills, who played a dominant game. One where Mahomes truly earned any yard gained. The Bills' defense played well against the team that has been the sole source of their playoff heartbreaks. They did a great job of effectively blitzing the Chiefs and keeping Mahomes from consistently finding targets or having the time to allow receivers to adjust. Now, they will need to try and repeat the effect in a different manner if they want to reverse the streak of winning the regular season game, only to lose to the Chiefs when it matters most. Or maybe just hope they remain where they currently are in the standings. The Indianapolis Colts seem like they are a good team, but for some reason they feel like they are beatable. And in Pittsburgh, they were just that. The Steelers rebounded after losing 2 straight games and took the ball away 5 times from the Colts. Still, they only won by 7, but the game was never really in jeopardy. There are many people who look at the outcome of the Ravens-Dolphins game and believe that the Ravens may make some sort of magical run. That may be a possibility. But there also is that possibility that they come up short and completely miss the playoffs. The Steelers are still on their remaining schedules 2 times. They could either use those opportunities to close the gap, or the Steelers could beat them in one or both of those games. Let us not forget that the Ravens did not look the part even before the injury to Lamar Jackson. Beating the Bears that are still growing and the Dolphins, who are clearly going to have a change in the off-season, does not cloud their potential issues. How they play at Minnesota may give better insight, as the Vikings are finally healthy at the most important position in sports. And it helped them beat the Detroit Lions this past weekend. Carson Wentz is now on injured reserve following surgery. The matchup between the Ravens and Vikings may be a good one. The worst thing for a team to be is overconfident at the beginning of the season and underperforming at various points during the season. The Green Bay Packers gave the Carolina Panthers another staple win. This one came at Lambeau Field. The Green Bay Packers had players brag about potentially going undefeated. That prediction is not looking so great. The Denver Broncos continue to win, beating the Houston Texans, who are experiencing a down year following routine trips to the playoffs under C.J. Stroud. The Broncos are beating all comers lately and will face their biggest tests coming up against the Kansas City Chiefs twice to see if they can keep the top spot in their division. The New England Patriots are back. They are a half game in front of the Buffalo Bills, but have won their first matchup with them, and continue to win with an easy early lead against the Falcons, who made a late run. They are showing once again what a difference the right coach and quarterback makes. The Niners, despite their health issues, continue to compete and win games, which shows the resiliency of their culture, players, and coaches. Mac Jones continues to lead the Niners to wins, showing potential that was missed in New England. The Rams will be up next for the Niners, who made easy work of the Saints, as everyone seems to be doing lately. The Rams are talented and are poised for a run to challenge the Eagles, Packers, and Lions for that coveted spot in the big game. The NFC East did not have great showings in prime time this past weekend. The Washington Commanders were dominated by the Seattle Seahawks and lost more than the game, despite the game being out of reach. Starting quarterback Jayden Daniels was still in the game and suffered a dislocated elbow early in the fourth in his first game back from a hamstring injury. The Cowboys were beaten by the Cardinals in their home stadium in a lackluster effort by their offense, defense early on, and special teams. The Cardinals, with backup quarterback Jacoby Brissett, who will be their starting quarterback going forward, look like a more competent team than under Kyler Murray. Another game with multiple turnovers. A more competitive weekend than the last one. For sure. That may have been expected, as it was just before the last chance to make meaningful change to rosters.
There were many impactful trades that took place this past week. Compared to recent trade deadlines, I am not sure we have seen the amount of activity that was experienced on Tuesday and the preceding days. As I aforementioned, my Eagles were active during the trade deadline, but sat out the last day, which was completely fine by me, as they completed deals that appear to provide depth and high upside for the push for our second straight Super Bowl. There were many teams that worked hard for weeks on deals that culminated on the final day, like the Colts, who bet big on their chances this season with a massive trade and investment in their defense to signal their intention for contention. Most trade deadline deals are essentially rentals. Like baseball, many teams acquire players to fill holes to solidify weaknesses for that stretch run. Succeed or fail, the player and teams tend to move on in their separate direction. The Colts chose a different route. They saw a key player being one that just signed a massive extension before the season, where he was supposed to be the creature piece on a defense in the biggest media market in the nation, actually playing in the safer state next to that media hub. Not many times do you see a person with a 9-figure contract moved on from right after they sign that deal, unless there is a quarterback that was drafted and played better to finish the season, and the dead money would be overlooked as it completely changed the trajectory of the team. But the Jets valued assets over talent, as it is clear that they have a lot of work to do if they intend to build the roster that their fans can stand behind and see compete in a division where the New England Patriots are back in contention and the Buffalo Bills have a franchise superstar quarterback. While I think we can agree that from the perspective of impactful acquisitions for contention in the present, the Eagles probably did the most overall. But, from the perspective of maximizing assets for the future, the Jets won that side of the trade deadline. The team with the most puzzling approach to the trade deadline may have been the Dallas Cowboys. Alluding to a trade just before his team got embarrassed at home, Jerry Jones acquired a former All-Pro defensive tackle who may help improve his defense in the future. The Cowboys will be lucky to make the playoffs, as they are struggling and have yet to reach their most difficult stretch of the season. So, trading for a talented player that will not make an immediate impact this season may be questionable, in the sense that they may have overpaid a bit. Every team may have overpaid, and many of the assets may actually be duds. We will not know exactly for most teams for a couple seasons. If teams added players and then did not proceed to win the Super Bowl or resign those players, it was all for naught. These are investments in the potential for better tomorrows than today's. And sometimes it can be unpredictable or timing a bit off. Sometimes teams may invest with the intention of winning now, but those pieces come together in the future. For the coach and the general manager, hopefully they remain employed to reap the benefits. The Seahawks added a key wideout as they hope to solidify their push for the NFC West title. They are playing great football, but the Rams are too, and the Niners may have a surge left in them. Making a move now is about avoiding any regret of missing that chance to win the big one. The Chargers made a good acquisition to strengthen their offensive line as they lost both tackles. In a year where they opened up by beating each one of their division rivals, they do not want to lose out on a chance to improve despite the injuries. And the Jaguars are taking the same approach as they hope to make the playoff field and need to adjust in the face of placing their star rookie on injured reserve. Many teams need to take advantage of the Chiefs and Ravens showing some weakness. There are spots available that are usually taken by week 1. I am not sure every trade deadline going forward will be this active, but this was definitely a good one to follow. And keep in mind many of these trades may have long-term impacts. Last week was a nice bounce-back week. Ended week 9 with a record of 4-1. I would have been 5-0 if I just stayed with my gut instinct, but that is sometimes the fun of it. It all washes out at the end. The first game I will pick is the battle of the Brady Super Bowl winning teams. The New England Patriots go to Tampa for a showdown with the Bucs. Both teams are playing good football and leading their divisions, but the Patriots' lead is only a half game. Baker Mayfield was playing like a MVP for most of the early part of the season until last weekend, and they are missing some key players to injury it appears. If they get back healthy, they may be a pretty interesting contender. But the Patriots have everything going their way, and I think that will continue this weekend. Drake May looks like a franchise quarterback and the team continues to grow each week, so I will take the Patriots to win on the road. The Los Angeles Rams will take on the San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara. The Niners beat the Rams in their earlier matchup, despite the plethora of injuries that pushed the betting line all the way up to nearly double digits before kickoff. Yet, the Niners with Mac Jones were able to race out to an early lead and overcome the Rams' resurgence in the second half. This time I think the Rams will be better prepared and more focused to dominate from beginning to end. I will go with the Rams. The Steelers showed that they can rise to the occasion when facing a good team. The top seed came into Pittsburgh and got beaten. The Steelers avoided a 3-game losing streak and can make it 2 in a row when they travel to Los Angeles. Not sure how quickly Penning can be ready to play. So the line without its starting tackle may face that talented but somewhat underperforming defensive line featuring T.J. Watts. Defense usually travels, and I think it will this time. I will take the Steelers. Someone has to win in a game featuring the remaining players left on the Jets rosters and the Cleveland Browns who are on their last 2 quarterbacks. Despite losing all their stars, I will take the New York Jets to be able to squeak past the Browns who cannot seem to get out of their own way. Finally, I do not like picking the game that features my favorite team and I will not this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars head to Houston with hopefully the intent to make their path to the playoffs easier by pushing the Houston Texans further away. The Jaguars are having a good year in Liam Cohen's first season as head coach. In this matchup against the underperforming but still capable Texans team, I think the Jaguars will be able to rise to the occasion.
It was not all that long ago when baseball fans decried how impactful the baseball trade deadline was for America's oldest professional sports league. When the Atlanta Braves won their last World Series, the Braves took advantage of the trade deadline to fix a team under 500 and completely changed their trajectory. It is much harder in football because there are far more moving parts and the fit may take longer than expected. The hope is that players can pick up the schemes or the coaches can put players in a position to succeed in a short amount of time. Speaking of baseball, the Los Angeles Dodgers won a Game 7 for the ages. We both were rooting for the Dodgers, as the Blue Jays are still not forgiven for '93. And it looked like they were well on their way to winning another title. That was until the Dodgers found life and took the game once again into extra innings. What a game! One that had moments for both teams and close calls that raised the blood pressure of baseball fans on both sides. The play at the plate will leave many Canadians thinking about what if until the start of the training camp before the World Baseball Classic. That is the thrill of sports. Victory and defeat are always around the corner. While it was annoying to see the team that put our Phillies out of the playoffs, I just could not root for the team that had Joe Carter. And we cannot support a team against our country. Thank you for experiencing this episode of the Christopher Peter Podcast, part of the Christopher Peter Review. Your viewership is appreciated and valued. Please follow the Christopher Peter Review on social media and continue to visit www.crcreview.com for new episodes of the Christopher Peter Podcast and the CRC. Thank you once again. Until next time.